Thank you for coming to my session. I will present you large-scale load testing which I made on a customer site. It was about 10,000 users load testing environment for the Zen app 7.5. So just a quick introduction about myself. I'm a virtualization business unit manager at Armis, a small company in the north of France. I live in Paris. I'm a Citrix consultant since about 90 years now, and I'm an active member of the French community, the French Citrix community. I'm certified on Microsoft and Citrix, and if you want to stay in touch, you can follow me on Twitter or LinkedIn, whatever you want. So. Let's talk about the agenda. We will try to find some common mistakes that are done when load testing are performed on customer side. A quick introduction about the product I used, Login BSI. Some prerequisites, important prerequisites for load testing, and 4 parts from 0 to 3, which describe the load testing running on the production environment. What we have to do during the test, the analysis of the test, and things to look at. And finally, we'll talk about the key findings. So, a quick introduction about Login VSI. Login VSI is a load testing solution from a small company. They are performing really good stuff. The basement of the product is on the Login VSI file server. You have to put a share on this server, and everything is bring from the file share that is stored on this specific server. On this server, you will have the management console and all the log of debug files that you will have to look at if you have some troubles. The launchers are configured by the Login VSI file server. So when you made a configuration through the Login VSI console, file is written on the share, and the launcher gets the files on this share in order to configure itself. And finally, you have the testing environment, which talk with the launcher with remoting protocol. So here, ICA. And it's talking also with file server in order to get the login scripts from Login VSI and some websites that are stored on the Login VSI file server. So on this one you have a share and a web server, an IIS for example. So, prerequisites. First of all, a load testing infrastructure. And the testing infrastructure, that's the minimum. You will need administrative rights in order to install components on the target server. Very small components that are needed by Login VSI. If you would like to use a default workload, a PDF creator, some free mines, which is a small freeware that is launched during the workload. And you will need also administrative rights in the Active Directory in order to deploy GPO and logon scripts. So on certain particular customer, it could be difficult to have this kind of right. So Login VSI setups creates some PowerShell script in order to create GPO, logon script, and everything is automated. But for my particular case, I have to give just the GPO files in order to get included in the Active Directory of the customer. So I couldn't use the PowerShell script. User accounts. In order to load test the environment, you will need some user accounts. For some customers, it could be really long to get it. For me, it was about a month in order to get 10,000 accounts in the Active Directory. If you want to make life easier, you will use incremental username and same password for every user. It will allow you to test each user independently if there is some username that do not connect to the infrastructure. So common mistakes. The first one is the one that a lot of people do. Use a rule of 3 for scaling an environment. In fact, we try on one server and expect to scale just the way that it's running on one server. It couldn't be done like that because there is some infrastructure environment that you have to load test also. The second one is to test with a system that is not identical to the production environment. The main goal is to test on the production environment directly. So maybe it should be hard on, for some customers. In my case, it was not a problem because we are not yet fully deployed. So we can manage to have the full environment available for the load testing. The second one is, the third one, sorry, is a mixed load test and production system because you can impact the production environment during the test, and it's not the desired solution. After include too many applications or steps, it's really hard to have a good scenario in order to be able to reproduce the user real life. But if you want to take too much application on the server, too much steps, you will get through a lot of error or disappointment during the load test. So start with a basic workload. The ones who give you login BSI are quite good. We have a medium, large, and low profile. So try to test with those ones, and after that, try to create yourself your proper workload. And the last one, which is quite the same but the third one, is not testing the full infrastructure. You have a lot of time problem occurs in supporting infrastructure, PVS, Active Directory, DNS, DHCP servers. Everything has to be tested in order to validate that the architecture could handle the load of every user involved. Okay? No question? If you have any question, feel free to ask. So, part one. What users are doing. If you want to have a representative scenario, you have to know what users are doing on your destination environment. But the first one is morning connection rate. It could be really the bottleneck. From my personal testing, we saw that if on one server we go to one user each 15 seconds, we can handle 215 users per server. If we go harder and get one user each 7 seconds, the server crash at 100. So it's something that is something missed, and you really have to take care about your morning connection rate, and this is really important. Yep.
How do you determine crash? What is the crash?
There is a crash is on login BSI you have connection timers, and you can see that at 100 users there is a peak, and the server starts to not respond to users. So we saw that there is some information in the console, and I will point you out with where to look at during the test, and it's quite easy to see that the server is not responding anymore. Yeah. After that, you have to find why. But this could be a reason. Application launched by user. Involving user in the scenario build process. This is really important. You have to get what is really used by user. Do not listen to this application is not used at all. Yeah. This is sometimes the most difficult part of a load testing project. If possible, use a recording solution like Smart Auditor, session recording and troubleshooting, observe it, whatever. It's really important. It could be useful and make you really sure about what you are testing. Part one, load testing, the load testing environment. It's something that could be strange, but you have to. If you follow the login VSI guidance, virtual machines with 2 CPU, 4 gig of RAM. Sorry, my French comes back. For the launcher, you can handle 25 sessions per launcher, so it's not a lot. And if we look at the VSI share server, they give us 1,000 connections per server. So from my personal test, 20,000 users, it's corresponding to 800 launchers. That was not possible for the customer to handle such a lot of launchers. And so we have to make some tests with a physical server. So the battlefield results. Physical server, 2 10-core CPU, 192 GB of RAM and SSD. After some tests, we found that for the launcher, we can handle up to 500 sessions without flash and video redirections. When we put on the flash and video redirection, we divide by 2 the number of sessions that the server could handle. So receiver consume a lot, and HDX redirection has an impact. So if you want to use it, load test with this functionality on. Yeah.
So when you have your launches running, are you painting the entire screen, or the sessions are minimized? How do you?
Yeah. In fact, I was using a remote desktop connection manager with a lot of small picture of the session, and if we look at the end, if we get too hard on the launchers,
so
that's the result.
Yeah. The reason
after a reboot, so the server is completely frozen.
The reason I'm asking, if you don't have the entire, let's say you launch, for example, well, seamless application is a little bit different story, but if you launch a desktop, and you don't actually expose the entire desktop, you have, let's say, scroll bars. If your sessions are ICA versus RDP, they actually do not transmit the data that's beyond your scroll bars.
I was on full screen on each session.
So you have to make sure that the entire session is transmitted, because otherwise some of the benchmarks what people do, the data actually does not come across the wire.
Okay. When I was watching to the session, I saw the entire session on the screen.
And you scale it probably, right?
And I scale out the zoom.
That's kind of important trick, because otherwise things might be a little bit different. Okay, thank you.
No problem. And for the VSI share, we have managed to handle about 10,000 connections per server. So for the first step that I made for 10,000, we have put 2 servers for the VSI share in order to learn how to load balance the launcher through the VSI share server. And we have managed to have about 80 physical launcher in order to handle the load. So this part is really important, because Login VSI was not able to give some guidance on physical machine. They just say, try it and you will see. So a bad experience for the launcher. So now, to create a scenario, first of all, keep in mind the part 0. What users are doing. Start with a few steps and test each subpart of the scenario independently. You will never get it right if you take a 100-line workload on the first step. That's not possible. Don't overstress the server. You will have to put some sleep on because users are taking break. So virtual users have to sleep a bit. Use as much functions as possible. there is a great workload language reference guide on the Login VSI website. For example, if you want to start an application, you will just type app start log name if you want to have a specific log name for this specific application. The path, the exe, a title, not bad, and a text that is found in the document. So, for example, if you have some parameters, you can just put them at the end. So this is quite easy to launch some specific application. And if you want to type some sentence, there is a default function that just randomize some sentence, and you say PowerPoint, so it will take the focus on the PowerPoint application and will type 2 sentences completely randomly. So you can learn a lot with reading what is typing by Login VSI. There is cool stuff inside. So now we're running the test. There is some steps that are really recommended. The first one is one vUser test. Just try the test on a web with one user. After that, you will have to test with one vUser per launcher in order to be sure that all launchers are working and are performing well. After that, TS or whatever profile creation workload. So you have to create a profile for each user, because the first connection of a user on the terminal server environment is taking so much time that the second one. So you have to create every profile, and after that you can start an optional half target launch and the final launch. If possible, the target launch should be launched 2 or 3 times in order to be able to compare the results, and to be sure that there was nothing strange or special during the first test. Try to avoid remote connection to launcher. Try auto-login from the registry, and launch the VSI launcher via starter menu or login script. That will be way easier to, it's the most common way to achieve it. I was not able to put auto-login on my customer, so I have to connect on each server. So if remote connection to launcher is needed, play on remote computer, because when you connect to 50 or more launcher from one PC, and you put back the sound, you will have some really funny things that occurs. At the time of a login VSI workload, the user is playing at Mario 63, Flash game, and it starts. It is funny when one user is launching it, but when there is about 200 or 300, you can not fully understand what music is it. So play on remote computer, disable local device and resources, printer, clipboard, smart card, everything. You don't have to have some RDP stuff from your client. So now the test is running, and during each launcher test, there is error snapshots that are taken during the session. You will find here. So the share that we create before the installation, VSI log files, the name of the test, and you have this folder which is called debug, and you have all the screenshots from each time session got a problem, a screenshot is taken, you can find it here. So it's really cool to have a screenshot of the problem. We have some trouble with the login VSI.exe, but first thing that is done is the folder that is on the file server is copied to temporary session, temporary folder of the session, and after that, the exe is launched from this folder. And sometimes, I don't know why, the exe was not there. So, you will see it on the screenshot. Log files are present. Each transaction are loaded on the file, and you can browse it easily. So control the VSI sharp folder. After that, you should look at the launch and active session folder here. So here is a test for 4,200 users. So here is 1664 users launch and 1627 active sessions. The difference between the two values are, this is that the number of launch sessions from the launcher, and this one are the session on which the login BSI executable is running. So this is normal to have a small difference between them because you have about 10 to 20 seconds of login time, and as you inject a lot of users, you have this difference. So this is quite a bit normal. You can look at the login time chart. You will saw that it's flat and quite good. You don't have value there, but you will have on the analyzer of login BSI. Try to have this kind of error reporting, 0, 0. And verify that each launcher is launching the same number of sessions. So, now we have to analyze the result. Login BSI produces this kind of graphs. This one is the most important because this is the one who tell you how many users you should, how many users the server could handle. So here is 25 users load testing. He said that the BSI max was not reached, so the server could handle more than 25 users. The baseline is calculated from the value of the first session that are launched. Yeah.
So is this a custom workload or is this a normal workload?
This one was a normal one. I think it's a medium one.
And what's the baseline then?
Yeah.
What's the baseline?
The baseline is 2,153. Right?
So I'm interested in the baseline, right? Because it gives you your unloaded performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think 2,000 is not bad, but still reasonably high.
Yeah. This was on a virtual machine, on a lab. So after that, this one is interesting. This one is also important, the logon timer. So you can see that the logon time is constant at 8 seconds, so quite good. Here is a real one, so on a physical machine. So the VSI baseline one was 1,700. And here we have reached the VSI max score. So it said that uncorrected one was 100. The corrected one is 99. Because there is one stuck station. It was a username that was wrong on the. I start at 00000, and this account was not there on the Active Directory. So we saw that there is a problem here. So you can say, okay, that server could handle 100 users, and that's it. But we have to get more in the detail in order to know if there is some problem or something that we can do in order to handle more load. And the funny thing is that we saw that there is only one application that growing up. This is the application start time, and as you see, every application are quite constant. But this one is growing up with growing of users on the server. So this one is Outlook. It's Outlook 2K10, and it seems that there is a problem with this specific application. When we remove Outlook from the workload, we can handle 215 users on the server. With Outlook, login BSI says stop at 100. So actually, I've got a case with Microsoft in order to find some specific things, but it seems that we start at 1 second to launch Outlook. Here at 100 we are at 8, so, and at 200 users we have about 3 minutes to launch Outlook. So quite a bit funny. So, things to look at. Customers still want to have classic stuff in the report. They want CPU, memory, disk, and network. Login BSI is not collecting those information. It just relies on timer. So if you want to do a proper report for the customer, you have to find a way to get those information. Monitoring tools could be useful. Perfmon, that could have a negative impact on the server. The remote Perfmon is really impacting the server, so try to not put in place such a solution. You can use Uber agent from Helpline or Control App. You have to choose a shot or a beyond with a sausage. So. Don't forget to monitor infrastructure servers, so SAN, NAS, Active Directory, print. Oh.
One question. You have performed this test over LAN, or also you have a software template over one because you are doing injection over LAN only?
It was only on LAN because we do not have a solution to limit the boundaries. We have performed some tests, but unitary one on one server.
On login BSI, you can choose a template or maybe do something to implement the congestion, for example, because there other things that are doing that.
Login BSI as far as I know, Login BSI do not give us a way to reduce the boundaries. It's just the configuration of the test is quite easy. Okay. You put a number of users, the login rate, and the kind of workload you want.
So my problem is if you don't test over one, because of the problem of Citrix, it is you have compression and you have a lot of things like that on the server side also. So this stuff you don't have measured this stuff, because if you have a congestion on the network, maybe on the server, there is an impact. So this stuff for me is not.
Yeah, this is why we have performed this. The limitation of the boundaries was done through by a software, and we installed the software on only one machine. Okay. But it was not a good solution, but the only one that we can put in place to this customer side. So normally I use 1M in order to emulate the congestion, packet loss, etc. etc. It's a cool stuff, and you just have to have VM and two virtual network cards, and it's quite easy to reproduce one environment, but in this case it was not possible. Monitor also the load testing environment, because sometimes you will have some trouble because of login BSI share server. If it became overloaded, all the tests will be affected by the login BSI infrastructure. So that makes sense to monitor the load testing environment. Limit to some specific performance counters, the one who you know and you can explain. Because if you can take a star of every process of every, and you will not be able to explain it to the customer. So take the ones that are really important and focus on the queues: CPU, memory, disk, and network. That should be enough. And really important thing, when using SCOM as a monitoring tool, rely on the operation manager database since data warehouse aggregates hourly or daily. And so with an aggregation, hourly aggregation, you can find anything. It will say CPU queue length was 0. Okay, it's an average on 1 hour, so but it's not a good way to find it. So login VSI is easy to implement. You will be able to perform a single test in a few hours. A good scenario is synonym of success in the load testing, so you have to take time to make this scenario running. Analyze the result, because if you just rely on VSC Max, you will just have some value and it will not represent what we will have on production environment. And use performance counter to know why things go wrong. Sometimes it's just because someone is stupid. If you have any question, I'm here to try to answer it.
Very good.